Erotophobia is the fear of sex or anything that has to do with sexual activity. So, Cody Johnson and Jordan Graham. Cody Johnson was born April 8th, 1988. So growing up as a kid, he was a very lovely child. His mom loved him so much. Him and his mom, they were very close. So at the age of 8, the mom wanted him to grow in this very calm environment. She wanted the best for him. So they moved to this place. It's called Kalispell in Montana. So this area is a small tourist town. This place has a lot of tourist attraction center. It's filled with mountains, valleys, ravines. It's a very, very serene environment. It's filled with greenery and all of that. So this was where Cody Johnson grew up. So his mom was Sherry Johnson. So it's not there's nothing being said about his dad in this story. So they just do as mother and son. So this boy, he had this very, very moderate like Christian life. So he grew up, he went to school, so he loved biking, was a very outdoor kid. He loved cars. His friends said he loved cars so much, like he would always want to talk about cars, and he always looked for people to discuss cars with. He loved driving around town. So when he even grew up as an adult, they would go out, they would just drive around windy roads with high speed. They said he called them joyrides. So he had a lot of friends, and this is friend. They described him as a very honest, a very genuine person, a very lovable person. So he had a dream to like one day. So after he became an adult, he was working in this car company, and his boss was his best friend, like his childhood best friend, Fredrickson. So this boss of his, Kevin Fredrickson, so he owned this car shop and he was working with him. And he also said that Cody Johnson was a very, very, very punctual guy. So he showed up at work at 6 a.m. in the morning. He was already at work. So this was how he lived his life. And in one day he had a dream of marrying a church girl. He wanted to marry a church girl. So 2011, he meets Jordan Graham. Jordan Graham is a beautiful girl. She loves church. She was always going to church. She grew up in this very conservative Christian home. She attended this Baptist church. So he fell in love with her. He loved her so much, like he wanted her. He wanted to do everything, was in support of everything she was doing. So being a church girl, and since he said he wanted a church girl, so when she said she wanted him to like attend church more, so he became a very churchy type. She even started attending the church she was attending. So they were in love. And according to the friends, most friends said that he was more into her than she was into him. All of them like tell us, say, marry a man who loves you, marry a man who loves you. So you see, man, he loved a man who loves you more. One and who love each other the same. So that was it. So he was totally in love with her. He was head over his focus, so to say. So that was how they were dating. This relationship was in church. They said so. They started planning a year later. They started planning in 2013. They started planning their wedding. He told his mom that he loves this girl. He wants to take a step further with her. He wanted to marry her. So they said she was very excited. He was excited too. So all of his friends, they were happy for him. So Cody Johnson is 25 years old and Jordan Graham is 21 years old. Now this is 2013. Early 2013. So towards, I think on the 1st of July or towards the end of June, rather at the end of the month of June in 2013, so they got married. So while they were doing the wedding preparation, her bridesmaid, her maid of honor rather, was her best friend. Her best friend was Kimberly Martinez. Then she had other friends, Hannah, and then she had a stepbrother. His name was Michael. She had parents who were still alive. Then he had a lot of friends. There was a friend different friends. So they had this. They also had church friends too, lots of church friends. So their friends, they also helped with the planning of the wedding. Majorly, the Kimberly Martinez like assisted her with planning of the wedding, the cake and everything, and they said she was excited about getting married. It seems as though she was very much excited about getting married, the wedding day and all of that. So they wanted this very unique wedding. They wanted it to like they wanted it to be different from every other time. They wanted something that would suit them, like kind of like describes their love. So they hired this very good songwriter. They hired her to like write a song for them that will be played on their first dance as a couple. So they So when this woman said during the interview that she discovered that they were actually in love with each other, they were excited about getting married, so they wanted to live together. So he kind of told her stories about how they met, how they have been going so far, it is for them, what they want. Then for Jordan Graham, she actually wanted to one day become a stay-at-home mom. She loved kids, like she loved kids so much. She had worked as a nanny, she worked in preschool and all of that. So she said her dream was to become a stay-at-home mom one day to live with her parents. Now, before the marriage, she actually in the relationship, she actually told Cody that she was like celibacy before marriage was a very important thing for her, so she prioritized it. And this guy he understood, so they kind of like stayed away from each other, so they got married. Now, on the day of the wedding, they said people, a lot of persons said they noticed that she was quite nervous. She was nervous during the whole thing because majorly because she was thinking that that eventually at the end of the day it would definitely have to come to intimacy and all of that. Now she wanted to get married, but she did not want to have anything sexual, let's just say on that day. So they got married. So when they got married, they even built a home for themselves. They built a house before they got married. They were going to move into the house that was going to be their matrimonial home. So the first night of the wedding, they spent it in a hotel, and then the next day, on the 2nd of July, they moved into their new home. So when they moved into their new home, they were started packing things. This was July 7th. That was when they moved into their new home. So a week after they moved into their new home, they were there for like a week. So they were that was their honeymoon. So they were having their honeymoon in the house. And then on July 7th, Cody was supposed to go out with his friends. So he was supposed to go out with his friend, they do their normal joy rides and all of that. But before then, they went to church, and then after they came back from church, they packed their things, they were unpacking their things in the house, they were arranging. So after all of that, then after that they decided to eat at home, they went to church again in the evening to meet up with some friends, and after that they went to the requiem. Meanwhile, Cody had called his friend to like cancel. He said he won't be able to meet up with his guys that day. So they just thought it has to do with something sexual. Maybe he said he wanted to spend more time with his wife. So that was it for July 7th. And he was supposed to be back to work on July 8th. So on July 8th, he normally resumes work at 6 a.m. in the morning. 6 a.m. he was not at the office. 6:15 a.m. he wasn't there. 6:30 a.m. he wasn't there. So his best friend Cameron, remember his boss, was worried about him. This was very unlike him. So he went to the house. When he got to the house, there was no one in the house. And then he knocked. Since no one was entering, he decided to like break into the house. When he broke into the house, there was no one at home. So immediately, like he had this feeling that something was wrong. So he decided to go to the back of the house. When he got to the back of the house, he saw Cody's phone. So at this particular point, he just felt something was wrong. He had to call the cops. So he called the cops because Cody never goes anywhere without his phone. So after calling the cops, like they kind of like filed a missing person report. And then the sergeant that was in charge of the case, sheriff that was in charge of this case, was just worried that a man just got married. This is like a week after he got, like 8 days after he got married, and the person that is reporting him missing is his best friend and not his wife. So where is his wife? So everyone was worried. They were trying to contact the wife until I think later that day she called a friend of theirs. So she called a friend of hers rather. Her name is Anna. So she called that friend. She called the friend to ask like, "Hey, have you seen Cody?" The friend is like, "No, I haven't. What's the problem?" She said, Cody he went out. I thought he would be back by now, but I haven't seen him. She said she's at her parents' house. She said that they had a little fight, and then when they had a fight, she went out. She went to pick something from her workplace, and then when she came back to the house, she saw him at the back of a green sedan. The car was driving off. She said it has a Texas plate number, and then he just texted her that he will be back. Later, he hadn't seen her since then. So the cops, she was called in. They tried to find out what was happening. How come you never told us that she's missing? How come you didn't call anybody? Said she didn't want to file a missing person report because she thought that Cody, when he returns back, would be mad at her. So this was why he didn't want to file a missing persons report. He said the car also. She described the car. She said it had a Texas plate, but she wasn't actually very sure that it was a Texas plate rather. So This was the little information the cops had, and they were trying to like find out. So why will he be angry? Why do you think he would be angry? So they kind of like she said that actually they spoke. She said they were at home together, and then he got a call, and the call kind of like the caller annoyed him. The caller made him angry. So she was very upset. He was yelling on the phone, and then she said she thought that she should give him a bit of time. So that was why she moved and she decided to go to her workplace, and then when she came back she saw him in this vehicle. She said he went out with some of his friends, but they were just random friends, not like the friends he knew from Montana. So that was what she told them. So they were trying to like find out if he had this kind of friends. No information was coming up. And then she said that the last call, so they took his phone, they took the phone, they turned the phone in, they decided to like check for the last call. And then the last call was, I think the call came from one man. I mean, I've forgotten his name, excuse me. So when they called this man, they like called him in for questioning. The man said, yes, he actually called him because he borrowed a tool from him, a work tool from him, and he misplaced it after. So he actually called him that day to tell him that he had actually found the tool, and then he could return it. So that was why he called him. So it had nothing to do with. So the cops are like, why does his wife think that he was upset when clearly he wasn't upset on the phone? Actually, there's no evidence to prove that to prove the discussion they had on the phone. But his friend was very very plain, like he was very willing to cooperate with the cops. And then this friend of his had a very strong. This friend said this friend of his had a very very strong alibi. On that night, his wife was giving birth in the hospital and he was present at the delivery. So there was no way that he could have been involved in his murder. Then his friends too, everyone was willing to cooperate with the murder, like with this issue with the search. So they kept searching for him, and then on July 10, there was a break in the case. She was talking to her friend. No, a lot of friends, sorry. On the day he was missing, so many friends came to the house. They were trying to like sympathize with her. They just wanted to keep her calm, to like think, look for clues. Where could this guy be? What happened? And then they noticed that instead of being, she wasn't crying. She didn't look like she wasn't looking any sober. She wasn't looking sad, but rather she was upset. Upset that there were a lot of persons in the house. She wasn't happy with the guy. So, and then they said at some point she even got so upset that she stood up, like pulled off her wedding ring, and then she threw it across the room. Like everybody was surprised. So this was it, and she wasn't actually willing to like search for it. She wasn't looking like it. But actually, no one has the right to like question how people grieve. Like people grieve in different ways. This was why they just waved all of this aside. So they kept like looking for clues how to search on everything. And then on July 10th, she claimed to have gotten a message and email from one Tony S on her phone. So this email came from one Tony S, and the email says that there is no point looking for Cody. That Cody fell off a cliff. He fell off a cliff and he is sure gone. He's never coming back. There's no need to search for him. And while she was reading this email, she was reading it to one of her friends, Hannah. So she was just reading it casually, like she's reading a page from a newspaper. So the friend was like, and you are reading this, and aren't you supposed to turn this into the court? She was like, I don't know. And she was like, call the cops immediately. So she went there, she gave them this email. So the cops were trying to like trace this email. While they are trying to trace this email, they are also they took her phone and Cody's phone to try to like search for where they were and all of that. So because this message said cliff, and then this place is surrounded by lots of valleys and all of that, they decided to wave this aside. They decided to like check for clues, to probably visit all of those Glacier National Park and those things. So because he loved these things, and then she too, she liked those places, so decided to like search these places. Now because this email came from the Tony S, it actually came from a Gmail account, so they had to take permission from Google to get the IP address of this particular message. So while they were waiting for permission from Google, they were also trying to like search their previous call, their Google map, where they had been before they, and all other information. While they were searching for all of this, they were moving. during the second day, while people were searching all of this cliff, they searched around this very large expanse of land. I think it is about 1,500 miles. So this place is so wide that it's not something, even if somebody may be there for even months, you will not be able to like reach the person to get to where this person was. So they had this large area of land to search. So on the second day of the search, it was July 11th, she went with her stepbrother Michael. She went with her friend, the other of her friend Hannah too. So while they were driving, she was the one in charge of the way. So she was driving. They discovered that she wasn't even stopping anywhere to like search for him. They were worried. They were like, can we check this place, check this place? But it was as if she was going to a particular spot. So she kept driving until she got to this cliff. So when they got to this place, she stopped and then she was moving. They were surprised at how she was able to like move over the rocks, and then she stood on this very tiny edge. And this cliff she was standing on a 200-foot high cliff. So this place is so high that it has like, there's a ravine down the place, and then there's a small pool of water down the place, and then there's this deep hole down there that when you look there, you won't find anything there, and any other movement from that particular end, the person might fall off the place. A very, very dangerous zone. Now this place is actually out of bound for tourists, but still some persons just still go there. It's actually out of bound. So many dangerous parts of this park, this Villager National Park, they are protected, they are wired, but there are some places that are not wired and tourists are not allowed to go there. So when she climbed this place, she just looked and she was like, I think he's down there. So she kind of she took a big piece of rock and then she threw it down. She said, oh my God, that's him. And then when she said that, other person said her brother and her friend, they came there they wanted to view, to take a look. But when the brother said, the investigator said, when the brother looked down there, he was so upset. He was so, like, he was crying hysterically. He cried so much that he couldn't even get back up. Like, he had to crawl back to the car. But she had no emotion, nothing. She wasn't sad. She just told them, like, I think that's him. Oh my God, that's him. This is just a week after their marriage, don't forget. So they said they had to like hold the brother, try to hold him, to pull himself together, put him back in the car, and then they tried to go to this Rangers lounge. So when they went to this Rangers lounge, the Montana Park Rangers lounge, they made a report. He said, they think there's a body there. And then when these Rangers got there, they couldn't actually take a look by themselves to certify if actually a body was there. So they said this had to be a major search. So they called the court. They had to even go with an helicopter. So they took one of their professional. There's a way they tied a rope, rope to his waist, and they kind of made him slant to like verify if actually there was a body there. So he saw a blue tennis shoe, and then it was confirmed that on the day he left, he was putting on a blue tennis shoe. And then he said, yes, there's actually a body down there. So they brought in the helicopter because it was going to be a major recovery. So they went. So when he said that the helicopter had to go down, had to do a 200 feet drop before they could get to the body, before they could pick him. Like when they picked the body, his body was just lying down. It was lying face down over the pool of water there. So they picked up the body, and when they picked the body, they took him back for investigation. So during the autopsy, they discovered that he actually fell head first into the water, and the major damages were to his arm and his head. So he was dead already. This is July 11th, July 16th, rather. So they kept investigating, trying to find out how come. So she actually claims that she had. She said the reason she came to the place to like search for him was that was a place that Cody actually loved, that he had always wanted to visit that place before his death. That was the first thing he said. And then later on, she said that he often go to that place to visit the place. Then she said she had a divine premonition that something was telling her that she was led by the Holy Spirit to before the husband in that place. So now I think that during all of this thing, there were no emotions. So the cops are still waiting for permission from Google to view the IP address of the email. So while they are trying to to do all of this. Then they got a friend of hers, Kimberly, if you remember, her maid of honor during the wedding. She came to the police station. She decided to give a report. She actually told them, she gave a very huge revelation. She said that Jordan did not want to get married. She was just, maybe she was excited for the fun of being married, sorry, for the marriage ceremony itself, but she did not want to stay married because she was very scared of sex. She was scared of anything that has to do with sexual activity. So even after they got married, she actually submitted some text messages that came from Jordan, different ones. She said, "Why is everyone just
and
happy?
planned to tell him.
She's not happy.
I'm about to talk
She's
to
not
him, she
happy with
texted a
marriage.
friend that
She's
day,
tired.
according to
That
court
she doesn't want
documents.
to do this,
I'll
that."
pray for
The
you
other
guys.
day, he kissed
Graham
her,
wrote
he
back,
tried to touch
but
her,
dead
was looking,
serious,
and
if you don't
she
hear
was
from me at all
repulsed, like
again
she was
tonight,
repulsed by the idea of
something
having
happened.
sex
Something
with
happened, all
Cody,
right.
her
As the
husband.
couple
She
near
was
the top of
afraid
the
of
cliff,
him, this,
their
this, and then she
argument
even
got
told them
heated.
on the day before
Graham
the
told
wedding,
the
that was on
FBI
July
her
7th, she sent
husband
a
grabbed
message to
her
her friend. She
arm.
said that previously
Then
that they had
Graham stated she could have just
an
walked
argument
away,
because of
but
this,
due
that
to
he
her
even
anger,
scratched
she
her
pushed
because
Johnson
she
with
was
both
lying on
hands in the
chair,
back,
was lying on
and
her,
as a
and was trying to
result,
like,
he fell
because
face
all this while
first
she
off
had
the
lied
cliff.
to him, like during the
Graham's
first week
friends
from the
cannot
1st of the July to the until I think on the 6th of July, she actually told him that she was menstruating. So she just kept deceiving him, and then she said they had an argument because of that. I think she texted her friend that if you do not hear from me, just know that something bad has happened. Just know that something happened. So that was the last message she sent to her friend before all of this came up. So this was a big revelation, and the court had to take this in. So they were looking at the possibility of Jordan actually having something to do with Cody's disappearance. So then permission came from Google, and then they viewed the IP address. The IP address actually came from her stepfather's house. So they decided to go to the stepfather's house. They checked her brother Michael's phone. They checked her mom's phone and her stepfather's phone. Nothing. The message wasn't from them. And then after this revelation, they also checked their phones. Then her Cody's phone and Jordan's phone. Then they discovered that their Google map showed that the both of them were actually at the park on the day of his disappearance, which was July 7th, I think at about 9:17 p.m. at night. So they went there and then they pulled the footage from the camera that was there, from the CCTV camera that was there. So they took it. When they took it, they watched the video, and they saw them at 9:17 p.m. that they had entered the park together, and then immediately they called her in. When they called her, she started telling another story again of how they had an argument. He was angry, he drove off, and then he didn't come back. Then one of the police was getting irritated. He just slipped a photo, like from a photo from the camera, from the footage that was put on. They just slid it to her, and immediately she saw it, she just started crying. So she started telling them that it was an accident, and they had an argument at home. Then after this argument, then they went to the place. When they got to the place, when they went there, they were actually talking, and immediately they got there, he started the argument about sex again, and they were having this argument. And then she said she was walking away. When she was trying to walk away, that he yanked her jacket, and she did not like that. She said when she did not like that, she said she wasn't going to allow this to happen to her again. Nobody knows what she means by that. So she decided to like push him. And so when she pushed him, she didn't know that he was going to fall. Babe, he was standing on the 200-foot cliff. Did not know he was going to fall. So she said she just pushed. And then when she pushed, when he fell, she said she just turned her back. She got very scared because he's a very popular guy and he's nice. Everybody knows him. And then she just thought that it's a war against the other people, against his personality. So that was why she did not call for him. That was why she just decided to like deny the whole thing, act like nothing happened. So she was arrested. So the cops are trying to like build up a case against her. She was arrested in September, on the 9th of September. While she was arrested, then she was released again on the 11th of September. That was 2 days after. So after she was released, they wanted more evidence. So they like collected more evidence and all of that. So after this, she was charged to court. She was rearrested again towards the end of September. This is September 16th. Then she was charged to court. She was facing second degree murder. And then later, they decided to like face for her to face first degree premeditated murder. So while she was facing all of these charges, she had to prove to the court that this murder was not premeditated and then that it was an accident because she was claiming. So her defense lawyer was trying to prove that it was an accident, that probably there was some kind of violence going on in that particular place. And then after they recovered the body, later they actually found a black cloth on him. It was easy to identify him because he had his wallet in his pocket. And then they found a black cloth. Because this black cloth, she said that he was actually holding the black cloth or something. I think the black cloth was a blindfold. She said he was putting on a blindfold or something. So the court, the prosecutors had to they were trying to prove to the court that she took him there. She deceived him. She probably took him there, promising him something sexual, and then he just followed. They say the thing when they sweet dog, na him dey kick dog. E be like say dem tell Baba say if I tie your face like this, you reach that place, you go dey alright. So the Baba just follow like that. So she was tying his face. Well, that was what the defense lawyer, the prosecutors were saying, that he actually tied his face with that blindfold there, and then she deceived him and decided to push him off the cliff. But she kept trying to deny it. She said it was an accident. That was how they did. Then the judge that was in charge of the case, he also had another case that he was going to take in Texas. So he kind of hurried it a bit. He took she told at the end of it, she pled guilty to murder in the second degree. Then she said actually she was going to sign a plea deal with them, and then this plea deal says that she was going to be given a 10-year sentence. But looking at all of the evidence, the murder was cold, and then she was facing other charges like false information, all of those all of the things the way she tried to waive the case, the way she tried denying all of the things, the way she deceived everyone. And that Tony S email, when the Tony S email when he actually traced it, at first he actually questioned one Tony S, and the Tony S was his friend. His friend, he said he said Tony S, when the question was asked who is Tony, she said there's a Tony Stockholm. When they asked him, he said they are just friends and they haven't heard from each other in a very long while. But this guy also assisted in the investigation at the end of the day. So the IP address at this time came out, and actually she confessed that she was the one that went to her stepfather's phone, created a new email account, and sent that email to herself. Probably she was getting irritated with the sex. She just wanted everything to go away. So she wanted everything to go away. That was why she just created all of this force. So she was also facing this all of these. So at the end of the day, she was given a 30 years sentence. So the family they were not happy over this. The friends and family were not happy. So Cody's burial was done within a week after his body was found. And during the funeral, at that time she was actually released before she was arrested. She came to the funeral, and friends said that all of the friends and family said she had the guts to stand there emotionless, no feeling, no cry, no pain. She did not apologize, she made no apology. She was just chatting away on her phone during the funeral. And then after that, she went away before she was rearrested. And then they said that she deserved more than the 30 years jail term that she was given. So the friends were meanwhile she was trying to withdraw her plea deal because she got 30 years. She wanted actually the 10 years. So the court rejected her decision to withdraw the plea deal. And then because when she found out that she was going to be facing a 50-year jail term, that was why she tried to withdraw the plea deal, but the court did not allow it. At the end of the day, she got a 30 years plea deal. So she is not going to be out until she's 51 years old. So in 2016, she tried to make another appeal again, and the appeal was rejected. So she is there for 30 years without parole. So there's no chance of her getting out until in 30 years time, when she's 50 years, probably going to 51 years old at that point now. So she said what she did was a proper disregard for life. It was reckless because she was young. Her defense lawyer was trying to say all of this, that it was disregard for life because she was young. She didn't know what was happening, that she got married at a very early age. She did some things she didn't want to do. She actually told the court that she did not want to break his heart by telling him that she did not want to stay married to him, or she does not want to have anything sexual with him. Babe, you don't want to break a heart, but you won't kill her. At least I feel like Cody would have he would have been alive today. If Cody was alive today, he would have been 34 years old this year. And then he would have been able to take it. Like, you do not want to get married, fine. Let's go our separate ways. It was better than her pushing him on the cliff. She just ended. It's like this man had a whole life ahead of him. So you tell me what to think about Jordan Graham. Do you think her sentencing was too lenient? You tell me what to think. Please.